See the massive morale shot that has caused. Look at this massive rout you can cause with just a surgical strike. Really risky. You can see that our own... Hello everyone, welcome back finally to Napoleon Total War after an unexpected 4-week break. So for those that don't know, the break is largely due to the fact that I am expected to move to a different accommodation after being told I'm getting evicted from my current flat. So YouTube, as you can see, has been up in the air since then. Unfortunately, progress is being made, but slowly. So unfortunately I have no real news for you on that department, but so we have time on our hands now, able to think clearly, and let's get back into Napoleon, where we have recently taken Paris from the French, leaving them of course without a much needed capital and leaving with only Reims over here and Strasbourg to our knowledge. I don't believe actually they do also have, of course, Corsica and Ajaccio, which is absolutely brilliant. So very nice indeed. We can immediately move to take Reims if we do fancy. So we do have a somewhat battered army over here, which could probably take it, but it might be a bit easier and safer to come through here with Alexander Abercrombie to take that. So that's probably a good idea. We do have our full stack over here, which did take Paris, and we are guarding of course Paris with a full stack of militia here as well, and that's mostly for the policing bonus they get. We are exempting them from tax as well, so we are going to get a letter of demands on the next turn, but hopefully we don't get a revolution, which is why we are bringing in this extra army over here to really help deal with that if that does pop up. So what do we want to do with this particular army? Well, we might want to bring it over to Paris anyway, because that will help our replenishment. And there we go, that's only going to take a good couple turns there, I think, to fully replenish that. To remind ourselves where we are with technology for a second, we have gained the university at Orléans, which is excellent there. We don't unfortunately have the money to upgrade it or repair it at the moment. That's going to take 2,000 to repair that. We do have the income for that, but we've spent all of our income previously, haven't we? Let's have a look over here at Caen. We are taxing it, it's just not very happy with us. We have recently taken that as well. I believe we are also having a French threat over here outside of Bordeaux. Gerard Duroc is in fact threatening that. We do have a somewhat battered army here with Wellesley, so we're going to stay here for now, I think. Do we want to just let them take that? That doesn't sound like a great idea, does it, to just let them take it? I'm sure we can do without the artillerymen over here. Very well chevroned up actually are they. We might not have all 4 cannons in this particular group, but I'm sure that won't make the hugest of differences if we do go straight for this battle right here. Unacceptable to just let them stand around and threaten our borders there. So of course not a full stack from the French. Do have some colonne d'attack and 3 horse artillery, which is rather nasty. So it does mean we have to be very aggressive to push in onto them. They do have that advantage. They do have a couple units of cavalry as well, but nothing really threatening there. Should be fairly straightforward. But I mean, how many times have we said that? It's not exactly the case. They do actually have a observation balloon, a hot air balloon. That's something I thought only Napoleon got. So that's very nice to see. So it does matter a tad. It means you always get to see how the enemy deploys, no matter your command rating compared to the enemy generals. So that's rather interesting to see there. So with only a small and concentrated enemy army ahead of us, and in fact a settlement battle ahead of us, we've set up with fairly basic standard tactics. We're going very central line focus over here, surrounding our cannons of course, which will not unlimber immediately. I think we're just going to push over to the brow of the hill over here, so we do get that extra range and sight. So we're going to push some Royal Fusiliers on either side of them, backing up some King's German Light in the centre over here as well. We might want to try and use the scrubs and such to our advantage there. Since we're hoping to be particularly aggressive in this battle, I'm hoping to tempt out some enemy with the Lightfoot in the centre there. So that's the plan with that. We do have some standard line infantry and such over here, mixing with some Swiss line, which is excellent, just to back up our centre right. Should be fairly strong there. Going fairly light on our right flank with some light foot, backed up by some standard regiments of foot, and of course some light and heavy cavalry to back them up in case they come in contact with the enemy cavalry there. Should really just hammer home that we do have that cavalry advantage there. And it's pretty much the same thing on this side, some light foot, but we do have some Highlanders over here as well to back those up. Some fairly decent infantry themselves, sort of middling between elite and regular line infantry there. So the plan with that is to push into this tree line and ambush the enemy as they push in towards us, if that is in fact the way they want to go. And once again, some cavalry to just use that our own cavalry advantage in our favour there to back them up. Always like putting the cavalry, of course, on a flank so they do have that charge later on. So let's get started, as Bob the Builder would say, and get going. Actually, it looks like the enemy wants to go very heavy on this particular flank. They've positioned all of their artillery, by the looks of things, over here. Of course, out the way of the town. They are immediately unlimbering. But I think really if we stay on this sort of area of the map, at least these buildings might block their line of sight. We'll have to find out as they open up onto us. But they do of course have their standard fusiliers backing them up, and their chasseurs cheval in general over here, as well as the conscripts over here. Not exactly bad, our French conscripts, of course huge in number, so it's a lot of them to beat down, and they actually have some fairly decent morale. And do have a chevron here as well to back this up, so they're not the limp backbone that you might expect from the title of conscripts. Let's start moving up our infantry then. So we are of course having to change our positioning a tad. It looks like the enemy is just about able to get some sort of fire with their cannons onto our centre over here. So that's against some Royal Fusiliers nonetheless, which is rather nasty of course. So we're going to try and dip behind this area over here, try and block some line of sight. That does concede some hill advantage to the enemy if they do so choose to push over here. So we're going to try and tempt them out of there with this particular group. Let's pull back over here so we do get straight on to their flank later on, and that will shoot some Fusiliers of course in the back there. As long as we keep pushing, they're on the reverse side of a hill, so we might even want to come as far back as over this sort of area here. We are of course pushing towards the centre here. Did we actually get range with our cannons onto the enemy? No, unfortunately not, and that is a shame because it looks like they don't want to budge whatsoever. We might have to push up our cannons even to this area, so let's unlimber and move them. Once again, wish we had horse artillery on us. So we're just making this flank now, as you see, with our light infantry. We're going to have to double time this now because the enemy has woken up to that, and that means we can double time straight to the brow of this hill now with our Swiss line and standard light line infantry there to really hammer the enemy from their side. We are in range, but line of sight just isn't in our favour there, so we really do have to push in to the sunsets over here. Go to blind our troops, of course, facing into that. But there is some glory to be had there. We do have to halt here, though. Maybe just reissue this command here. And now that we have completely surrounded the enemy, losing the sound effects once again. Very sad. We'd love to hear the thunder of our huge volleys coming out now. Guessing the enemy's there a tad. Very strange we do just lose that, but of course we're getting a little surrounded there, but they're going to have to struggle with that uphill battle quite literally. Do have some soft cover over here from the wall, and of course we are fighting downhill. So let's hammer this home a little bit more, and I think we're going to push up over here with our line infantry here, double time to that. And that's excellent. And a very slow push through the town is going to have to be made here. Somewhat messy formation. I think we put our light infantry into this building here. And we're going to back them up there by just blocking this area. So how are we doing? Ooh, terrible morale shock over here. Absolutely terrible. Why would that be? I think what we do is we send in the heavy cavalry here. Actually, what we'll do is we'll push them here. This really needs to hurry up. Form a diamond, please, because we want to push straight through that formation. And this should... We have recovered the morale shock there. Force another, yep, absolutely ripping through that, but apparently winning slightly there. Don't understand that, so they've lost quite a few men. We've lost a fair few ourselves though, must be said. Probably struggling with the line of sight more than we had hoped. And the enemy really encroaching onto us there, so we're going to have to manoeuvre over here, make that thinner. And where are our cannons? Are they in place? Pretty much, so we need to start moving forwards here to support and really take the centre. Really push up here.
We've taken a building, sir.
We took that building very quickly indeed as well. But let's... I think that should be okay. Let's unlimber here. Now I can push up a little more here. Encroach on the enemy. We have finally forced this unit to rouse off, which is excellent. So this unit of cavalry can move into this unit of fusiliers. That will be threatened though, so we need to watch out for that. But not too much of a bother. The light infantry can push over a tad, cover our flanks, really take that hill now with this unit. And how are we doing over here? We might want to just pull back a tad, really. Once the cavalry makes contact over here, I think we'll pull back with this unit. We're really struggling. You see even the slightest incline into the hill there really reduces our speed. We do make that cavalry charge, a very silent one without those sound effects unfortunately, but we are going to pull back there. Does force a mild square out of this battered unit, which has now recovered. Let's halt here, should be in range, just setting up our line. Takes a little too long there, but we'll be able to fire downhill there, and that'd be brilliant. So let's pull back now, because we are now firing from this line, which is excellent. And that'd be great. So the enemy is now reacting very heavily to us. Are we firing? See some... is that just fog? That can't be just fog, it's too thick. Have removed this unit now. Let's pull back, come out of square, get out of fire there, which is excellent. Reduce this unit to less than 60 men now. That really should, yeah, they are absolutely shattered now, which is brilliant. One unit down. Quite a hefty amount of losses on our side though, just for that. What we can do is probably push up here. The enemy actually firing. Yeah, they are. I'd love to take this wall cover. Love to take the cover of the wall there. I think we should push up to the top of the hill once again though. And we need to push in with our reserves. And we will double time that. So they will be tired for it. But we really need the men in the area now. Oh yes, we are firing I think over here. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we are firing. That's excellent. That's why I put these skirmishers in there. So we're going to put a lot of pressure on the enemy now and put a single unit over here and back us up with our cavalry. Cavalry, of course, do not like town fights, but we're going to have to use that to neutralise enemy cannons there and put a lot of threat into their back line. Are we in range of anything here? No, we're not. So it looks like the enemy is, in fact, wondering what to do with their units. So going to push into this area, get right in their faces. Should be able to fire over them there with this top of the hill here. Fire over our own units behind the wall cover there. And that's excellent. What are we doing over here? We are inflicting losses on the conscripts. So once again, a huge amount of men there. They will inflict more damage than they're worth. And the colonne d'attaque, pretty much more elite units. At least a tier above. Let's get in range then with our lights once again. And they will be threatened by the chasseurs cheval, so we have to watch out there. Move our own cavalry a little closer then, having said that. And the enemy general is open to being sniped. If we try and ignore the French hussars, of course. But this unit of Highlanders might have something to say about that. Oh, maybe they don't. Let's get them into cover there. The enemy cannons are using canister shot on us, and that will rip us apart there. Really hammering this colonne d'attaque down to nearly half their total men, which is brilliant. We have taken the wall cover here as well, so we'll be taking a lot less losses here. We've only lost 4 men from this unit of standard line infantry as well, but they were threatening a melee charge there, but just taking far too much morale hit there. So, how are we working here? Do we want to just charge in with our cavalry here? Probably do, to be honest, to neutralise those cannons. Seize the initiative there while the enemy's somewhat confused, and I think push in here to bring really massive amount of confusion. We're pushing with our general tad just to provide some morale support where needed and even some inspiration. And I think what we'll do is just rotate perhaps the units over here into this wall cover. See a massive volley coming off of our light infantry there. What we'll do is, they're coming out of dodge there. Let's get the general staff there with our heavy cavalry. That's excellent. Really got on towards their cannons there, so we can once again bring in our Highlanders over here. Okay, the enemy is firing rather nastily over here. Now let's take this wall once again as well. And that was what we were hoping to do here. So what we'll do is just come back here, have killed the enemy general, and that is our cue to pull out with our cavalry. See the massive morale shot that has caused. Look at this massive rout you can cause with just a surgical strike. Really risky. You can see that our own morale is not doing great, so we do need to take that as a cue to pull out here with our cavalry, but that does allow our Highlanders in to do a good job and flank the enemy. We probably want to pull them a little closer. Probably. Let's see how their range is looking. Yeah, let's pull them a tag closer there. Have broken this unit of conscripts for now, and that means we can cycle charge once again with our light cavalry onto the retreating units. Would be great. Heavy cavalry into the chasseurs cheval. Finally deal with them. Do need to be wary of the square though, which is basing us. Basing. But I think we can certainly deal with that, and that is in fact breaking. And that was, you know, over almost as quickly as it begun there. French hussards are returning, but we do have 2 units of cavalry very close by there to deal with that. So, aim of the game now, chase down the fleeing units and make sure they have very minimal people surviving this battle. So let's, having said that, focus on some larger units here, shall we? And in fact, a heroic victory. We're certainly going to take that. Let's see how many men they have remaining. I'm sure it'll be a fair few. We will need to follow that up. Okay, so at 200 remaining, that really is not a lot at all. That might be an outright removal there of the enemy army. We took just less than 600 losses there, so that's less than I had assumed after seeing the battering we took on the approach there. You can see, yeah, this unit of light infantry did take rather a nasty hit, but otherwise not the worst across the board. Yeah, a couple regiments did get away there, so we are going to have to fight that, but we don't have the movement range unfortunately to do so. However, we do have the supply depot in this area, which means our replenishment is very high indeed. So we're going to be at full strength next turn pretty much, before the enemy has a chance to even get out. Our zone of control does pretty much cover them, so they might, well, they don't have anywhere to go, to be honest, because we are covering this bridge and that's the only way out northwards there, so we are going to have to delete them. No escape for them. We do see another enemy army over here though, Edouard Mortier over here with a very similar composition as what we've just seen, but lancers I believe. That's interesting, rather than standard light cavalry and such. Don't see them very often out of the French, but yeah, interesting, very interesting indeed. So there's not much else to do really. We could be particularly aggressive, and I think we will be particularly aggressive, and we're going to take Reims as well. So, going to be a bit of a meat grinder is this particular battle. Enemy does not have a huge amount of cannons. They don't have really any cavalry apart from their acting general. They do have a lot of standard line infantry and some militia to break through, and some very well chevron colonne d'attaque, pushing them to 16 morale. Let's go to our units over here. We have a 9 morale on 1 chevron there, which is rather nasty. Even our Royal Marines chevroned up have 16 morale, and that puts that into perspective. Very much a holding unit on their colonne d'attaque, with some decent accuracy at 31, but yeah, that's not what they're for. Very much a holding unit there. So let's go in and push this one down once again as well, expecting a much harder battle here. Okay, so we've got quite an odd formation here. We're going to try something a little bit different, which could either really, really work, or it could really, really not work for us. So in the centre, we've not placed our cannons in the centre. And there is some logic behind this, so we'll get to it in a second. We have, of course, got a mix of light foot backed up with some Royal Marines on our centre left over here. Centre proper is going to be some standard line infantry and some Royal Marines there. And we've got some standard foot protecting some light foot over here as well. The idea is that these units on these centre locations are going to push up a tad ahead of our two units on the centre, perhaps get straight into these trees over here, tempt out the enemy there. We do have our general there to support in a somewhat neutral central position there to pick and choose where he needs to be to reinforce our morale later on, of course. We have our cavalry, 2 units, or 1 unit of heavy cavalry over here, some dragoons and some light cavalry over here, to some more neutral once again as a reactionary force. Now what we've done that's very strange is we do have 2 units of light infantry here backed up by 1 unit of Royal Marines, very hard hitting forward force over here, which will once again try and tempt out the enemy into the open fields over here away from the town, and try and skirmish there a little more heavily, and then they're going to give way to our horse artillery over here, with the idea, with them being horse artillery and having that manoeuvrability, they can push right up to the enemy and start using canister shots as massive shotguns to really punch through the enemy. This is going to be a meat grinder, as we said, so we want to grind even harder and chew down the enemy with massive bites in that particular fashion, and they will be backed up by a couple standard units of foot infantry, but of course I do have this screening force over here to really help them out later on as well. So over here we do have just a fairly standard flanking force. I don't think the enemy is going to concentrate too many units when we start moving. This unit is a reactionary flank over here, a couple standard units of line infantry and some light cavalry to protect them. So as you move right into the enemy's face, the enemy's being extremely passive. To demonstrate this, they've not even unlimbered their cannons, which will force me, I think, to be a little more risky and go right into this shrubbery over here and try and get some long-range shots into their cannoneers here. Yeah, because they're just not moving. That's absolutely fine. That means we can really take the brow of this hill over here and retreat back with our light infantry as needed there. Going to hide in this woodland over here. We're not currently hidden because we've been moving. Looks like I didn't realise we would automatically take some cover over here. I've just put there. That's absolutely fine. I've not told them specifically to do so. It's not really worth telling them either because of how our formation would be. Let's just move a little more succinctly into the woodland there. I wonder if it's possible trying to move some cavalry to tempt the enemy out, but it's really not a good way to do things, generally. Would we be in range here? Not quite. I think some opening fire would really force the enemy to move, but before we do that, we'll just double check we're in a good position on this particular flank, because yeah, we do need to push it a little bit harder, I think. Yeah, let's push the cannons, I think, over here. What we can do is actually take the cannons very specifically, I think, over to this area. And then we can move around with our forces a little more later on. Let's, I think, pull back. It's just difficult with the lines of sight over here. This little dip in the area, very on edge indeed. So that done there. It's not really going to fire over anyone, is it, from there? That's rather unfortunate. Okay, well, we can always set up our cannons here, of course, and fire some standard round shots into the enemy. That will get them moving, of course. We're going to pull back with this light foot when it becomes too late and drag the enemy into this firing line here. How would our formation look if we took this area? Yeah, not great. Really not great. We need to plug a gap with this reserve, and we'll plug it as that comes around. I think we just push up a little harder into the woodland there with this unit at least. Okay, are we in position with our cannons? Very nearly. We are going to take off fire at will so that we do have more control over our cannons. And I think we're going to go straight into the enemy's battery, actually. Let's do that. Should be about ready. Lovely stuff. Looks like had a bit of a misfire there. You can see the craters there. We are aiming somewhat downwards. Rather a shame there. We might have to unlimber or limber back up and unlimber just a tad ahead there. That's rather unfortunate. Have another volley off and see what happens. Let's not force the enemies to move just yet. So we have slightly repositioned here. Hoping for a bit better. Looking decent. Back on fire at will. So we'll see what happens after this reload. There we go. You can see that coming out now. Instantly ripping apart one of the cannons, or two of them in fact. That is brilliant. So, with that being said, we might as well get some barrage fire on there. And we'll separate our fire here into that battery. Yeah, now they're unlimbering. Now they've worked out, oh, hang on a second, there's an enemy in front of us, they've said. where did that come from? Who put the bloody British army there? So we are now, of course, in range with our light infantry. Just about there. Just about picking off some French garrison. And they're not exactly bad, the French garrison. It's not the standard militia you get. So, how are we looking with our formation here? Because that is very, very messy. Let's push up a little harder, I think, over to this direction here. I'll push one unit there. And I sort of want to take advantage of a hill here, really. It's just... we're not going to get any overlapping fire there, unfortunately, because of that terrible line of sight. How's the enemy cannons looking? Still pretty decent, actually. They're still firing alright. Getting some... okay, looks like there might be ones to fire now, so let's pull back a tad. Yeah, they're seriously firing here. Okay, okay. Not a problem. Let's pull back to this area. It's not a problem. We'll take a small morale hit while that's happening. But we can certainly live with it if we push up our reserve here. Massive morale penalties on that militia, and I think we're going to take the advantage over here. This is also units of militia. I think we'll form a diamond here, push through with one unit, and then sustain melee engagement with the second unit of cavalry there. No, that is a massive, massive blob. Yeah, they have engaged in melee there, which is not ideal whatsoever. We might end up having this unit rouse off if we're not too careful. Have managed to come out of that's okay though. So, what's going on here? I've just selected that. It's absolutely fine. Let's go to canister shot now. Excellent stuff. This unit needs to fire onto this French garrison immediately. I think we just double check our lines there so that we don't get any friendly fire whatsoever. Go around here. This is going to have to double time as well. And now we are in a spot of bother. Let's push up our cavalry. How easily plans start to fail, hey? Another barrage, please, into the column attack would be absolutely brilliant if we can get that off. Have we lost a cannon here? No, we haven't. Barrage, please.
Sir, our general is under attack.
Increase the reload rate. We have pulled back with that unit of light infantry, have we? We certainly have. Lovely stuff. Initiates the cavalry charge. Turn around here. Cavalry can deal with the militia very handily there. How are we dealing with that? Yeah, that is pulling through and just ripping through the enemy infantry with those shots of canister there. Lovely stuff. That is amazing against a column attack. The very thick columns they produce there. Lovely. But how are we doing on this flank? We are opening fire. Looks like the enemy's not quite in range over here with that militia garrison, which is excellent. We have that charge going through here. Let's pull through if possible. Have routed this unit of militia, so we'll pull round, get some very, very close range fire over here to really source out the French garrison. And that's excellent. Lovely stuff. So they're threatening a melee engagement here, so we're both gas of fire on this particular unit of French garrison here. Lovely stuff. Absolutely disgusting to see, but yeah, we're just about to engage in melee, are they? That's very dangerous range there, guys. It's like, it's looking like we've lost a cannon there. Let's see. No, we haven't. I don't know what's happened there then. It's lost a cavalry, lost a piece of cavalry, lost some horses. Very, very close and just not taking enough damage there. We're going to have to counter-initiate here, because we'll lose those cannons otherwise. Speaking of counter-initiation, we're being shot in the back by this militia garrison. Very, very sad to see a melee charge on our cannons, but it's always possible. Let's pull out our artillerymen here. What we can do is just pull up over here, reinforce there. We have dealt with that unit of militia, so let's cause some havoc and go straight for the enemy's centre once again, I think. Although, having said that, we'll get one unit of cavalry into the militia over here because we are poorly positioned. Push up. Lovely stuff. Very nice cavalry charge into the flank there, very directly into the flank actually. And that'll pull through very nicely there. Excellent. Disrupt them, allow us to reposition our infantry. Brilliant stuff. And because we're firing that, we do need to pull out immediately. How are we doing over here? Yeah, not amazing. Not amazing. Artillerymen are running from that melee engagement. As expected. As expected. Pull our general over here to protect this area, or boost it. Got a massive cavalry charge over here. We have dealt with that unit. Get into this militia, thank you very much, because that does need help. And I think what we do here is pull back and get a very nasty fire into the flank over here, because they're doing far too well, unfortunately. Are we firing over here? Getting some sort of fire. I think we need to push up a tiniest bit to get over that hill. Okay, now that we really have dealt with this area, we need to push. And there we go. So, what have we got going on over here? Let's get into this unit of cannons. Push into that militia, thank you. Did not mean to enlarge the map. We can inspire this unit. And that's actually pretty damn decent. How are we doing over here? We need to get this flanking charge on there, thank you. That will deal with this flank, freeing up so many units to help in the centre, which is very much needed. So let's get that on, shall we? Let's take the trees here with our light infantry, push in with our line there. And we have finally routed this unit off. So let's come out of that there, pull back, I think. They can have a good rest. Much needed rest. Take the hill. Lovely stuff. Cavalry somewhat idling. Push into this militia. Thank you. Really take this now, I think. Really take this to the enemy. Need to double time this. It's not good enough. It's really not fast enough. And is Inspire? No, it's not. Inspire's not off of cooldown. Really causing a lot of havoc with our cavalry here. Let's get on to the hussars. Their acting general. Did not mean to push in that hard with our light cavalry there. Under threat here. Not so much for bother. It is only militia. Let's pull into the town here. I think what we do is actually pull out there and chase down the militia there, so that doesn't come back on our flank. Come out entirely here. Did save that unit of cavalry. Now, where are the artillerymen? Because we might be able to man a couple of these cannons. Have killed the enemy general. It's excellent. We can see we are in a position of advantage here. Massive volleys coming through as this garrison units. I think our cavalry has pretty much done the job. Let's really try and pull out of there now. Keep this unit of light cavalry into the back so nothing really comes back towards us to threaten us. I don't want to risk the minimal cavalrymen over here to charge here anymore. Even though it's his militia, it could do some nasty work. What do we actually want to push in with here? So we're losing a fair amount of men. I'm going to put this down to rust. I'll always put it down to rust. This will give us chevrons though. Okay, let's protect our cannoneers once again there. If we actually seize the cannons, how many do we have? We have got enough men to take on 4 cannons there. That's excellent. Barrage once again, just straight into the garrison there, and we can cause a rout very handily indeed. Unable to pull ourselves out of this slog though, so just tell them to commit hard there. And yeah, they'll be in position fine, and that will be that. And I don't know how, but I'll certainly take the heroic victory there. Napoleon Total War seems to hand them out like sweets, but you know, they do taste bloody good. So of course, because that's assessment battle, 0 enemies remain, we lost a lot of men on that. A lot of men. And that is disgraceful. But we'll peacefully occupy. And we've got to repair it, although I do want to change that to a tax office. So, region captured, trait gained, a grasp of the shovel for +1 command when besieging. So I think we can finally end that turn. Ooh, Prussians are being very devious here. They would pay us 1,000 gold there in return for field ambulances, and they want us to break our trade agreement with Spain. Nah, it's not worth it, especially since we are going to have to fight the Prussians. They'll likely research field ambulances by the time that comes around, but I don't want to give them that head start. So we have a manufactory sabotaged all the way over here. That's rather interesting. Also, we have the intellectual advance, the abolition of slavery has now been passed a few years late by the British standard there. I believe it was 1803. William Wilberforce at least banned the trade of slavery. So let's go. We do actually have a rebellion in France, and it's it's absolutely fucking huge. So I didn't think we had a letter of demands already. That's very interesting. So we do also have a lawyer for Edmund Cartwright over here, which will help civil technologies over there. So what are we going for next? Not really a lot. Not really a lot. We do have mass production on the way, which reduces recruitment costs a tad. That's really all we can go for at the moment until we get our buildings upgraded, which we do have a couple about. I forget where though. Might not have any courts being upgraded actually. No, I don't think we do. Let's get that one going then, in London at least. We are still quite a few turns away from military academy as well. That is interesting. Thought we are 2 turns away from a steam powered factory though, which will unlock the next few industrial technologies. So that's not exactly bad. But yeah, this huge revolution here. That's interesting. That's very interesting. They're not exactly weak either, with having massive amount of cannons, heavy cavalry and line infantry. It's not a militia revolution. We might have to pretty much avoid it. We can... What are we looking at? I think we can just about take on this army with John Moore over here. We've still got a few units to replenish. So we might as well lead that with a militia first. Use those as expendables and pepper this army, and then we can certainly take on this army over here. It's just the fact that Wellesley is so out of place. What happened to that French unit over here? That's interesting. He's gonna have to come up over here though. I have no agents in play. I wonder if the Prussians might want to help us out, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. We've got some units over here for some reason. We'll bring them down, they'll be useful. That is a difficult one. That is a difficult one. We've recovered fairly well over here though, so I think we could just about pull off removing this force over here with Abercrombie. Well, it's going to be the Battle of the Six Armies for the next episode, guys. Been recorded for quite some time now, and we do have some things to get on with. I'm afraid we're going to have to come back with a fresh brain for this massive, massive problem now. Though the upside to that is that it won't be returning if we're able to police this properly afterwards, which is excellent. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope to see you in the future. Please do leave your feedback in the comment section as ever. It is always very enjoyable to read your comments. So I shall have to see you in the future. May all of your nights and days be auspicious. Goodbye.